what he thinks Israel should be doing in its aftermath. We're delighted to have him with us tonight. Moshe Feiglin, welcome to our AJA Zoom event, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you very much.
Now, before we start, there is an additional note of sadness around the war in Gaza, as not only are too many Israelis losing their lives in defense of Israel, but one of them was Moshe's grandson, Sergeant Yair Levin, who fell in battle in Gaza a couple of weeks ago. Moshe, on behalf of the Australian Jewish Association and the Australian Jewish community, we wish you and your family a long life at this terrible time, and we should hear only good news. Okay, on to business. And just before we get to all the politics of the Middle East, Michael, you wanted to pick up on something around Moshe's visit to Australia back in 2015.
Yes, thanks, Alan. Hello, Moshe, and it's nice to speak to you again.
Hi,
you and I have something in common that I want to mention. You probably won't remember that when you came here in 2015, you weren't exactly welcomed by our Jewish communal organisations. In fact, one such senior Melbourne communal leader told the media, the mainstream media, quote, Moshe Feiglin does not make any positive contribution to peaceful dialogue. Now, at the time, Alan and I were hosting Nothing Left, the top-rating political program on JA Radio, and it certainly did not go down well when we invited you into the studio to chat. Notwithstanding that both Nothing Left, our program, and myself personally were supporters of this communal organisation and their leadership, both you and I have been the subject of cancel culture ever since, till this day. So what do you think our Jewish communal leadership was so afraid of back then, to the point they wanted to silence you? And have you changed any of your views since then?
You're asking a hard question. I mean, I have answers to myself, but I'm not sure I want to get into it because I think, first of all, I did not change a bit of my views. Okay? Jews were always afraid, definitely in a diaspora. And it is something that we see throughout the history. But at the end of the day, there is reality out there. There is truth. And now that everything that I'm saying in the last 30 years become horribly truth, horribly real, I don't feel I need to explain anything. The reality explained me better than any words.
Mm.
I established the Zu Artzeinu movement 30 years ago to fight against the Oslo Accord, the Oslo agreements, and everything that came after that. These agreements gave parts of our Holy Land, including Gaza, to a terror group, to the PLO, to establish their own state, actually. Later on, they become Hamas, but it's exactly the same thing. And that led directly to the 7th of October. Without those peace agreements, okay, Oslo and the disengagement, there wouldn't be this Holocaust, modern Holocaust that we saw in Israel in Simchat Torah. And this is not something that need to be explained. You gave them the land, you gave them the weapon, you brought them here, you gave them all the infrastructure to organize themselves. And from that territory that you gave them, and with these terrorists that you brought from Tunisia at the time. That's exactly what hit you at the 7th of October. So what do I have to explain? The fact that Wikipedia described me as extreme right to make sure that you're all afraid of me does not change a bit the fact that I held the truth in my hand. I understood reality, and even though they did to me exactly what they do to you, meaning delegitimize somebody who dare speak the truth, delegitimize, and even more than that, dehumanize whoever is there telling you what's going to happen, okay? I kept on saying the truth, and those friends, which I love them all in Australia, that were afraid and did not want to appear at my lecture when I came to Australia, were simply afraid. We're simply afraid. Well, sorry to tell you that if you kill the messenger and the message don't go through, you face the reality. And today we face the reality not only in Israel, we face the reality in the entire Jewish world. Because when Israel is being defeated, as it did in the most humiliating way at the 7th of October, it was obvious to me, and I said it at the 8th of October and screamed it loud and clear, if we're not going to do what we have to do right now in Gaza, tremendous wave of anti-Semitism will sweep all over the world. And so the fact that we don't do in Israel what we should has an immediate impact on your life in Australia. You suffering over there because of us in Israel.
Yes. Moshe, I was going to ask you how you feel or how Israelis feel the war is going. I think you've started talking about that. So could you just elaborate a little bit? Tell us, the other thing is, it's been going 8 months. I don't really know whether that's a short time or a long time to prosecute a war like this. So just tell us, what do Israelis think, and how do they feel that the war is going?
There is no war. The war never started. It's a game. It's not a war. Just imagine that when the German Air Force, the Luftwaffe, that attacked London in World War II, just imagine that Churchill would have said to his people, we're going to eliminate the Luftwaffe. We're not going to win the war. We're not going to destroy Germany. We're going to eliminate the Luftwaffe that attacking us. Who would want that war if that would have been the goal that the leader of the free world would have put in front of his people against this Nazi regime of Germany at the time? What would happen? Germany would have won. It's obvious. We had been attacked by the most evil Islami Nazis combination, Islamo-Nazis forces. I'm sure you all saw, you all heard. I'm not going to repeat what happened and how they behaved and still behaving, these animals, these wild animals, okay? So it took us 3 weeks to decide what should be the goal of the war. That's ridiculous. Why? To make sure that we're not going to win this war. Because winning the war is easy. The IDF is much stronger than Hamas. Believe me. Much stronger than the Hezbollah.
And tell me, what's the...
Israel captured the whole Gaza Strip during the 6-day war in less than a day. And it was against the Egyptian army, not against a terror organization. It takes 8 months because we don't want to win. And let me explain you why. Because this Oslo process that I was talking about, 30 years and fought against 30 years ago, created a magnetic gate, magnometer, as they call it. You know, that you see in every mall or things like, or in airports. And if you wanted to be a general in Israel, or a politician, or a judge, or any power position in any circle of life in Israel, you had to bow to this new concepts of Oslo. So today we have a layer of leadership in Israel that the only vision that they have in their mind is Palestine. Divide the nation, divide the land of Israel, create a Palestinian state. And nothing of the vision that kept our nation for the last 2,000 years is there. No divisions that lean on our faith. Nothing of that. And when the 7th of October came, when this horror came, it met leadership that all they wished for is to go back to the 6th of October. Go back to the concepts of Oslo. And if we take over Gaza and rebuild Gush Katif, there's no Oslo anymore. And if there's no Oslo anymore, the whole foundation to our leadership is gone. So we cannot win, because winning means no more Oslo and no more hegemony that took the power of Israel. And when Trump was the president of America, Benjamin Netanyahu could have done whatever he wanted, at least at his first year. I know it for sure. I'm not just assuming. I know it. Okay? He could roll the Oslo process to the garbage can of history. Easy. He didn't do it. Why? Because he himself became a slave to these concepts. When you're not coming from a conscience of faith, from a conscience that remember not just 150 years of Zionism, but 3,000 years of Judaism. Remember who you are. What our goal as a nation. What our message, not to only to ourselves, but to the entire world. When you don't understand that, and you just want to all the time somehow deal and instead of be light to the nation, be just a place among the nation. That's the name of Netanyahu's book, by the way. Okay? Then if that's what you want to be, just place among the nation, you lose even that place.
Yes, Moshe, well, you're talking about the big picture things, which is very interesting. Just to sort of zero in a little bit, what's the general feeling towards the generals who ignored all of the warnings in advance?
Well, as I explained, all these generals got to their positions only because the system that was built here after Oslo felt that they observed completely the new religion of Oslo. It's a religion, okay? If you want, I can explain what I just said. It's a wide thing to explain. And they should all go home immediately. The fact that the chief of staff and those generals are still in position in Israel proves that the Israeli army is not is not being led by the people of Israel and the government of Israel. Let's put it this way. Through these 20, 30 years, the security system of Israel, it's more than just the IDF, basically gave the keys to the Americans because they felt it's the same thing. There is no, we live in a progressive world. The whole concept of Oslo came together with the rise of progressivism during the 90s. There's no more nations. Of course, there's no God. We just need to fight the extremists, like Feiglin, for example. They are the real enemy, not the Hezbollah and the Hamas. We'll build big fences, create a lot of technology. We don't need tanks anymore, because with tanks you win real wars, but there's no more wars because all these concepts of nation is just an imagination of religious people and stupid people. We live in a new world, and a whole layer of generals was created that believed these nonsense, met the challenge of the 7th of October that hit them and did not know what to do. And they should all go home, because there is the good news, and it's a very good news. There's a new generation in Israel, a new generation of heroes. One of them was my grandson. But there are my grandson, Hashem Yikom Damo. But there are higher rank commanders that have the faith, and they should get the leadership of the Israeli army, and also the political leadership should be replaced, and we should create a leadership that this new generation of heroes deserve, because all the old leadership is looking for is how to take over Gaza with these heroes' blood and then give it to another terrorist. From terrorist B back to terrorist A. They did not learn anything. They still live in the bubble of Oslo. They will never will. And as long as and this political leadership and military leadership running the show in Israel, this war will go forever. Will continue forever. We'll never win. And the situation will only get worse.
Michael.
Wow. Moshe, there's been no shortage of armchair critics of Netanyahu's response to the terror attack on the 7th of October. If you were in power at the time, what would you have done differently, if anything?
I would have done to Gaza exactly what I'll say it differently, okay? No Nukhba terrorist crossed the English Channel in World War II and killed civilians and kids and raped and did all the horrors that these guys did to us on Simchat Torah. No Nukhba Japanese, if I can say, okay, crossed the Atlantic Ocean and did that in California. Yet, the minute they had the ability, the British people burned to ashes every German city they
Hey,
could get
Feiglin,
their
your
hand.
dog. Hey, Feiglin.
Okay, someone's got to go.
Yet, the minute the British and the Americans, when the wheel of war changed, the minute they had the ability, they burned to ashes every German city and every Japanese city, even though nothing that happened to us happened to them at the time. Not in England and not in America. So to answer to fulfill your question, Michael, what Israel should have done to Gaza at the 8th of October was exactly what the British people did in Hamburg and in Dresden, and exactly what the American people did in every Japanese city they could reach. They burned to ashes. No ridiculous humanitarian aid. They burned those cities, the British, the Brits, and the Americans. Okay? They understood that they fighting the complete evil, and they have to win that war. And if they won't win that war, this evil will remain in the world and hit them in the face again and again. And they have to reach unconditional surrender. That was the definition of the war. And that unconditional surrender was paved with pile of ashes of every city in Germany and in Japan, including men, women, and children, and elder people, and no humanitarian aid. And what they did, the British and the Americans, was the most moral thing to do, because morality is not just to radiate the light as the Jewish nation should. It is also to eliminate the evil when it blows up in your face. Sur mera v'aseh tov, it says. You need to do both. And so to fulfill the answer, this is what we needed to do at the 8th of October. And if we would have done that, we would won the war in few days. And many of the hostages would be free today. And the whole world would have been free today. And I want to continue something above your question. We have to realize what's going on here. There are two ideologies that their main goals is the destruction of the entire civilization. The destruction of the monotheistic civilization, which we usually called the Western civilization. Two ideologies. The first one is the Islam. Wherever the Islam reach and capture and take, the green become yellow, desert. Look at history, that's the conclusion. And what I'm saying now is word to word. I'm quoting the first British commissioner to Sinai during the 30s. Okay? This is the Islam. They don't produce anything. Look how Europe cities looks like wherever they reach. Most of the wars in the world, the Islam is involved. And look at their behavior at the 7th of October. They did it for religious reasons. When they raped women, they felt they're doing what Allah is expecting from them. This is the Islam. This is one ideology. The other ideology is the progressivism. The ideology that trying to destroy any kind of identity. There's no difference between men and animals, people, human beings and animals. No difference between. So it's the basic human identity. Of course, sexual identity is just you can choose whatever you want. The family identity, and of course, the national identity, just a primitive illusion. No identities. So when you mixing all identities, there's no identities anymore. The basic foundation of civilization is not there anymore. So you're talking about the two identities, the two ideologies. Their main goal is the destruction of civilization itself. All civilization, not only Israel, all civilization. Now look what's happening now. These two ideologies. Look at the universities at MIT and Columbia, definitely in America, but not only in America, all over the world. Suddenly, you see that these two ideologies combine together. Against who? Against the nation who brought to the world the belief in one God and the 10 Commandments. And why? Why these ideologies that want to destroy civilization, fighting against the Jews? And when I'm saying Israel, I'm saying the Jews. You feel it on your skin, I'm sure. We all want, it's Israel and Judaism is one. There's no division anymore between the two. Okay? Why are they fighting against Israel and Judaism? Why? Because the foundation of the Western civilization came from the Jewish belief, monotheism, and the 10 Commandments. There is no civilization without lo tirtzach, lo tignov, do not steal, don't kill. There is no civilization without the belief in God. There is no, because people don't believe in each other when there's no God. There is no civilization without the message of Judaism. The concept, Judaism is the foundation of civilization. And if you want to destruct civilization, you're fighting Israel and Judaism. That's a key point. So we should all understand that when we're fighting today in Israel, it's not just a fight for the existence of Israel. It's not just a fight against Hezbollah and against Hamas. It's a fight for the existence of the entire civilization.
Moshe, just to change direction a little bit, I really liked your response to the BBC interviewer who asked you about the Palestinians, and you said, the who? Dennis Prager was the guest speaker at the Pesach program I attended, and when I asked him about everyone calling them Palestinians instead of Palestinian Arabs, he said that we have lost this battle. Do you agree, and is it now too far gone to do anything about at this stage?
The minute you use the word, the language that they forced on us, and we accept it, unfortunately, the minute we, Israelis and Jews, using the term Palestinians, we lost the war. And he is right about it. Because the invention of a Palestinian nation is the biggest lie of the 20th century. And that lie means that there are native nations in the land of Israel, that the land of Israel belongs to this native nation, that we are just occupiers that came from Europe. We are the last colonialists still live in history, and we are the new Nazis. Basically, this is what they say. And all that comes only because we observed that language. I was always, through all the years, I never used this word. And when the BBC interviewer used it, I corrected him again and again, and he could not understand. At one point he told me, well, you know that you're in a tremendous minority thinking this way. And of course he was right. My prime minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, is using it all the time. My prime minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, at the Bar Ilan speech, openly said, yes, there's another nation here, and the biblical heart of the nation belongs to them. Well, what can I answer? He was absolutely right. And because of that, it's not a question of right and left anymore. It's a question of truth and lie. And both sides, left and right in Israel, accepted that lie since Oslo.
Michael.
But I disagree, Alan, that it cannot be fixed. Everything can be fixed. Everything can be fixed because we live in an amazing time. I would even say biblical time. It's not just, something happened, we will fix it and continue the same direction. As I said, there's a new generation in Israel. More and more people, leaders, politicians in Israel. By the way, and since that interview, are not using the word Palestinian anymore. Understanding, and I'm continue explaining it again and again all over the Israeli news all the time. So yes, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna get back to ourselves, Bezat Hashem.
And I should say it's a word. Sorry, I say it's a word. AJA also is very careful not to use that word as well. So
Yeah.
Michael.
Michael.
Moshe, you were talking about the civilization, how this war is, and I think we all must agree with you. It's not just against Israel, but why is it that the rest of the world don't understand it? When we can see what's happening in Europe, what's happening on our campuses, we can see there's an influence there. I call it the Islam Socialist Alliance, because even if you look on campus, probably more of the protesters, pro-Palestinian protesters, are socialist or leftist than they are actual Palestinians or Palestinian Arabs, Muslims. So why is it that the world doesn't get it?
What do you want from the world? Our own leaders don't get it. I just gave an example from Netanyahu, and he's the right-wing prime minister. He's the prime minister that came from Likud, not from Meretz or from the left. Came from the right. So look, Michael, what did Israel basically said since 67 and definitely since Oslo? What is our argument? Okay, basically we said the following. Yes, it's true that in 1948 we demolished 600 Arab villages and created our own state. And it's true that 19 years later, in 1967, we took over another piece of land till the Jordan River. It's true. That's an historical fact. And what can we do? They burnt us in Auschwitz, so we had nowhere else to go. So you know what? We said, how about if you will give you back what we took away from you in 1967, and you will forget about what we took from you in 1948. Let's be realistic. You'll give up on what we took from you on the land we took from you in 1948, and we'll give you just half of what we robbed from you. Does that sound serious to you, Michael? This is what we're saying. This is exactly what we're saying. We are a practical robbers, nice ones, very humane thieves, robbers. So what do you want when they shoot you and they try and you basically gave them at the Oslo Accords, at the Oslo, and the truth is that even before, but basically in Oslo, when you gave official recognition to this so-called nation, okay, you basically gave them the strongest weapon. And the strongest weapon is not F-35, and not that missile and that tank and Merkava tank and that missile and the other missile and technologies and whatever. The strongest weapon is justice. We gave them the justice. They are right, and we are wrong. They are the people of the land, and we are just a bunch of European colonialists that took over the land. So what do you want from, and now you're asking me how come the world don't get it? We explain them so well. But there's a positive side to the picture. The positive side to the picture is that most of humanity, most of the world, most of the people in the world are waiting for you to be yourself, waiting to us to be ourselves. Why Israel was created from the first place? You know why? Not because of the UN decision in November 1947. It meant nothing. There was a war right after. The Arabs did not accept that decision, and there was a war right after, and Israel was created because we won the war, not because of the decision.
It was Resolution 181.
What was the decision, the international decision that really started the whole process that brought the creation of the state of Israel? It was the Balfour Declaration. The Balfour Declaration. And why did the winners of World War I, the British Empire, decided to help the Jews create their own state in the Middle East? Well, the famous historian Barbara Tuchman wrote a book about it. I have it in Hebrew here, HaTanakh ve'Acherev, the Bible and the Sword. And she brings in the book all the discussions they had in London. And what brought the decision was a tremendous despair that those British intellectuals and believers, okay, had after World War I. The whole concept of the Enlightenment time fell apart. Suddenly, we know how to make machine guns and chemical weapon. And what's going to be with humanity? And the smell of tens of million bodies from the trenches of Verdun and the Somme get all the way to London. How are we going to save humanity from itself? And Balfour and his friends are saying to themselves, maybe when the people of the book will go back to the hill of Judea and the language of the prophets will be heard again in the Holy Land, a new message of belief and freedom will come out to the entire world. And these were the energies that started the whole thing. Why do you think the American embassy moved from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem? Because Netanyahu wanted? I'm telling you, I was there. He didn't want. Why to touch something? Why to shake the boat? Because Trump wanted? He didn't want. But Trump voters, the evangelists, pushed Trump to push Netanyahu. So you see, what I'm trying to tell you is that there's tremendous amount of, maybe more than half of humanity is not against Israel and against the Jews. They're just waiting for us to do what we should, to be ourselves.
Moshe, I just want to get to some questions.
I'll just finish that. Okay, I'm sorry for making it a bit longer than it should. Once we'll reconnect ourselves to our identity and to our vision and to our message to the entire world as a nation, I have no doubt that most of the good people on earth, and most of the people on earth are good, will be very happy to be part of that revival that created the state of Israel to begin with.
Yes.
Yes, I'm with you.
Thank you. We'll go to questions in a moment. But if you're listening on JAIR, this is the Australian Jewish Association Zoom event, which we have every Wednesday night. And our guest tonight is Moshe Feiglin, former member of Knesset and founder of the Zehut Party in Israel. We'll just very quickly go to David for an update on what's coming up, and then we'll get into some questions.
Yeah, and a reminder before the update, if you want to ask a question, best way is to raise your hand. So people have sent me some written ones, but yeah, see if you can raise your hand.
Okay, thank you, Alan. And as we do each week, at the end of this event, make sure that you go to the AJA website and do something positive, be a supporter. If you're not already, make a donation. It's getting towards the end of the financial year, good time to do it. You can subscribe to the email list and make sure then you get the notifications of future events and other activities. Follow our social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, Instagram, by far the largest Jewish platform in the country now. Now, coming up next week is almost a little bit of a continuation on one of the things that Moshe Feiglin has been discussing, although more focused, and that is we will have a member of the parliament from Sweden, Nima Gulam Alipur, who will be talking to us about the impact of the rising Islamic population in Europe particularly. And open to questions.
All right, first up, we'll have Mark. Would you like to ask your question?
Please, Mottel, please unmute yourself and then ask your question.
Oh, unmute again, Model. There you go.
Moshe, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. I think I recognize the voice.
Thank you so much. Moshe, Amakum Yanachem, and you should only have Simchat in your mishpacha.
Amen, amen. Thank you very much, Model.
I just wanted to ask you the first thing. You said you're not going to mention the name Palestinian again. Would it not be better, instead of avoiding the name, by creating a campaign to let the whole world know? You said it's Balfour Declaration. I would say even more so than that is the first pasuk in the Torah, where it says God created the world and he gave Israel to the Jewish people, not to the Palestinians. They don't exist. So if we are just going to be shtika, we're going to be quiet about it, what are we going to achieve? Maybe a worldwide campaign and let people know what the truth is might be a better way to go.
No, whenever I'm being asked who the land belongs to, my answer is from the river to the sea. The truth is more than that, okay? But the land of Israel belongs only to the people of Israel because God gave it to us. I just mentioned the so-called invented nation, Palestinian nation, with from a different reason. But of course, that is the only reason. What you just mentioned is the only reason why we are here, why this land belongs to us. When you don't mention God, when you don't mention this first pasuk, when you cannot say out loud that the land of Israel belongs to the people of Israel because God gave it to us, to the people of Israel, and only to the people of Israel, then you cannot say anything, and you lose your right. And all the claims are right because you have no claim to the land, no historical claims. You were not here in the last 2,000 years. Other people came and go. You cannot. The Indians cannot come back and say that America belongs to them now. It's not going to work, right? You're just a colonialist.
Moshe, I know you've got a big following. Could you not make a campaign along those lines and let the world know what the Palestinians really are not?
No, because I don't believe in a negative campaign. They don't interest me. The thing is not why they're lying. I want to come with a positive message. What do I offer? I want to flourish the Gaza Strip with Jewish villages. I want an Israeli airport over there. I want Talmudei Torah over there. I want factories, high tech. I want the city of Gaza to look exactly like the city of Ashkelon, Ashdod, exactly the same. It is my land. It was occupied by those Arabs that came to the Gaza Strip in the last 60, 70, 80 years, okay? Most of them after Zionism, not before. Some of them had some kind of claim, private claim, okay, which I respect. But as one unit, not Hamas, as one unit, Hamas was just their leadership that they voted for in a tremendous amount. As one unit that declared war on me, and not just declared war, but did it in the most horrific way and lost any right they still had. So the only victory that can be in Gaza is a victory that comes with that end game that I just described. And when Mashiach comes, there'll be a railroad from the Gaza port for the Olei Regalim to Jerusalem 3 times a year. It'll be very easy to come to land at the international Israeli airport in Gaza and take a train straight to Yerushalayim to Beit HaMikdash. This is my vision. I'm not afraid of the dream that my Saba Rabba, Moshe Zalman, dreamed, and his Saba Rabba, and Jews dreamed all over the year. I'm still dreaming that dream that for some reason, suddenly we are afraid of. Our own identity, our own destiny. I'm not afraid. They attacked us at Simchat Torah and did what they did, and I'm not going to say it again. Did what they did. How did they call the war? Mabul al-Aqsa. They did what they did for al-Aqsa, for the Temple Mount, for the place of our Mikdash. So they allowed to dream their dream and slowly but surely continue towards their vision. And in front of that, what do we have? Do we have a piece of truth, piece of vision of our own, piece of belief on our own? No, no, no. Just don't make it a religious war. Well, what is it? For God's sake, if not a religious war. This is what it is. You're being forced into a religious war, and now you're sticking your head in the sand and say, no, but this is what you're in anyhow. So at least come with your truth, with your vision, with your belief. You're not gonna win any other way, because in any other way, you're not gonna gain the justification that you need to win. You lost the justice. You're not going to gain it again if you're not coming from your own identity. It's not going to work. And your own belief.
So we've got a lot of hands up, so we don't have much time. Let's go quickly to David and then to Chip, and we'll see how quickly we can go. David.
Okay. Moshe, I want to let you know and let everyone know that there was actually a campaign directed towards us to cancel you, not to have the event this evening. And we got emails and social media messages, and there were people out there running such a campaign. And there was a thread that ran through some of the messages. I want to show you an example and ask for your response. And I'm putting up the screen now, one of the messages, and you'll see the area down the bottom there came yesterday. Tomorrow, the AJA are hosting an event with the fascist Israeli politician Moshe Feiglin, who has invoked Hitler in advocating the ethnic cleansing of Gaza. And I'm sure you've seen this in some of the media attributing such a quote to you. Can you say what happened and what did you mean by the particular quote in question?
Yeah, thank you for, it's whoever heard what I said understood exactly what I said and what I meant. But when you want to change, I mean, when you, okay, it's I'll tell you exactly what I said. Exactly the opposite I said. And it was just a few days ago, by the way. I said in one of the Israeli channels on TV, I said that what we faced at the 7th of October is the appearance of the most extreme Islamo-Nazism that we saw since World War II. I think everybody agree with that.
Sure.
Everybody agrees with that. And then I continued and said that Hitler yimach shmo v'zichro. By the way, I added the curse on the original lines. I'm not saying it now. Okay, so everybody understand what I feel. Okay, I said that Hitler yimach shmo v'zichro said that he cannot live in the same world as long as one Jew still live. This Islamo-Nazism and the Jews cannot live together. Definitely not in the world, he said, but definitely not in the same country. That's what I said. It's not going to work. It's not going to be any solution. It's like of a two-state solution is going to lead to the same results. That's what I said. And I said, from the river to the sea, using their line, okay? Okay? It's either you or me. We have to understand. It's either them or us.
And you were
no other way.
You're meaning the Islamo-Nazis, the Hamas type.
That's what I said. And I know that we're facing a very strong machine of like Der Stürmer at the time, okay?
Yeah.
When they want to delegitimize you, they'll throw every lie on the surface, and with an unlimited money, do whatever they can to delegitimize you and color you with those lies.
Yeah, I know what that feels like.
And you cannot answer everybody, maybe even most of them you cannot answer. And unfortunately, people buy these lies, not only about me, but about Israel, that we're starving the poor so-called Palestinians and so on. It's very easy. And the fact that they're attacking me means that I'm gaining power, and they're afraid, and I'm very happy about it.
Okay.
And I think what we saw, so as I mentioned in the beginning, Al Jazeera ran two separate articles trying to get this event cancelled. I don't think they've ever done that for a Jewish event in Australia. We saw the Australian Palestinian something or other, call for it to be cancelled. So a lot of pressure and pretty crazy. We've got time for just one more question because we're running over time. I'm going to ask Chip. Chip's a journalist, so would you like to ask your question?
Thanks very much. Moshe, Jewish Australians are experiencing levels of anti-Semitism that they haven't experienced before in this country. And this has been fueled in part by allegations that Israel is carrying out some form of ethnic cleansing in Gaza. Now, this isn't true, but when you deny that there are such people as Palestinians, when you talk about creating a Hebrew Gaza and inviting Arabs to leave, aren't you encouraging a narrative that makes life more difficult for Jewish people living here and elsewhere?
Well, in 1967, Israel took over the Gaza Strip, took over Sinai, Judea, liberated Jerusalem. What happened was exactly the opposite. Suddenly, the Americans wanted to be our best friends. What bring the world against us, what encourage these evil forces all around the world against us, and bury the good forces that wants to be with us, is one thing, not what we do to the Arabs or not doing to the Arabs. Are we winning or losing? So it works exactly the opposite. When we losing the war, and we are losing the war right now, make no mistakes, when we losing the war because we tie our hands to these rules, with these European rules, okay, that did not help one Jew in Europe, okay, to these immoral rules of those nations that could not find one bomb to bomb the gas chambers in Auschwitz, okay? When we tie ourselves to their moral, we cannot win. My grandson was killed because he was sent into the building instead of destroying the building from air, as we should have done, and with bulldozers. Destroying the building was the moral thing to do. Sending my grandson inside was immoral. And because of these immoral values that our leadership accept, we're losing the war. And because we're losing the war, these anti-Semite forces rising, they don't care if one Arab was killed or not. They don't care about starvation in Africa and anywhere else. It's about Arabs, it's about the Jews. Suddenly, when the Jews are weak, it means that there's no room for the Jews in the world. these evil forces that you're trying to somehow, you know, get relaxed or get off of your back, will only be worse and worse if you don't win this war. And if you do, the other side, the good side of humanity, will rise and will be on your side. It's not about what you do or not do to the Arabs. It's about, are you winning or losing?
Moshe, we've gone over a little bit of time, so we'll finish off and we'll let you continue with your day.
Thank you. I have to say thank you very much. And now that you showed me what kind of pressure you had not to let me speak, I have to, besides thanking you, to tell you that I appreciate very much the fact that you stood up against it. And I have to just add one more word. Please, I beg you, come to Israel. There's no more room for Jews out of the state, there's no more diaspora. The concept of diaspora that can keep your identity is gone. Most of the Jews today are in Israel. The diaspora is finished. No more galut, Baruch Hashem. We are at the time of Geulah. It's hard, but this is our place. All of us, all the Jews in the world. Please come.
Okay, well,
please come home.
Alan, I just want to say one more word before we finish. First of all, thank you for allowing me, AJA, for allowing me to be part of this. I just want to say, notwithstanding the pushback we've had of having our wonderful guest, I just want to remind everybody that AJA invites guests and politicians from all sides. We don't necessarily agree with every view of every politician or every guest, but the one thing AJA is really is inclusive, which I can't say that about all the other organizations. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Michael. Moshe, thank you from me. Your tone is very somber, and understandably so. And we feel your pain, but I want to thank you for joining us, and we wish Israel a speedy victory and all the best for you and the Zahut party going forward. How do people follow what you're doing politically?
Oh, it's very easy. We all over the news. We just finishing now building the rebuild, the media ability to reach us all around. Whoever will want to be in touch with us can do it. I believe my cousin Model that was here can help you with all the details.
Okay.
And I'll be happy to.
Thank you. We wish you all the very best and all the success in the future. We've gone a little over time. Morris Klein is on 3ZZZ now with his L'chaim program. Don't forget to keep up to date with what AJA is talking about on our Facebook page and other social media, so please like and share it widely. But for now, we wish you all a very good evening and look forward to seeing everyone back next week as usual. So for now, it's a good night for me, and Shalom, Moshe.
Thank you
very much.
So much, Moshe. Thank you, Alan and Michael, for hosting, and Alan for organizing. And yeah, everyone follow Moshe on social media and everywhere. And AJA, thank you.